Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy. Today we're going to be talking about my Thriller-a-thon wrap up. So let's just go ahead and get started because you know how I like to talk a lot about these books. I had a really good reading week for the Thriller-a-thon. Mostly all 5 stars except for one book, and that book is The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina. It was okay. I gave it 4 stars because it really kind of picked up for me towards like I guess from the middle on to the end. In the beginning, I didn't really know where we were going with this story. I wasn't sure like even who to suspect, and I guess that's you know, good for a mystery thriller kind of book when you really don't know what to expect out of it. But I was just really bored with all the details of it, I guess, in the beginning. And then once I got into it, I guess right around like maybe 50% of the book, it really started to pick up for me and I really enjoyed it. So I gave it 4 stars. So we start off with Anne and Marco. Those are our 2 main characters. They are at a dinner party with the couple next door, and this is the first time they're actually leaving their new baby girl alone by herself. The babysitter backed out because she had something else come up. So they had like at the last minute, so they had to like figure out what they were going to do. They were going to bring the baby, but Marco was insistent that they don't bring the baby, and that the baby will be fine sleeping in its crib. They'll bring over the monitor, and it's just right next door. You know, what can happen? Nothing can happen. We'll go check on her like every 30 minutes. And of course, Anne is feeling very self-conscious about this. She's going through some postpartum depression a little bit. So she's already, you know, just feeling a little down on herself. She's not really feeling good about the whole situation. She does not like the wife of their neighbor next door. I forget her name. They were kind of minor couple in the background a little bit, but she was a very sort of Barbie type. She was very flirtatious with Marco, and Anne could kind of see that. So anyway, Anne goes to check on the baby, and at around, I want to say like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, because Marco had one at 12:30, so when she goes around 1, the baby is gone. So you get all that right in the beginning, and the book kind of takes off from there. What really kind of got me bored was just there was a lot of just I feel like it just spent a lot of time with the detectives and the police like at their home. I don't know, it was too drawn out for me. Like nothing was happening. Like we need to go out and look for this baby. So then of course around like I said, I think around like 50% of the book, things start picking up a little bit, and you start to get your suspicions of who this could be. So you kind of find out who it is pretty early on. So I was like, okay, something else has got to be happening. So I didn't fully guess what had happened with the baby, who had took the baby and everything like that. So that was a little shocker to me, but leading into the end, I had my suspicions. So yeah, it was a really good read. Well, I say that, I actually listened to this on audio. I actually listened to most of these on audio except for one, but also, I feel I would have maybe gotten a little more out of this book if I would have actually just read it, because the narrator for this book was very just monotone, and it just kind of, I think maybe that's why it just drug on for me, because I was waiting for some sort of reaction to the story from the narrator, and you just didn't get it. It was just very just like straight, no highs or lows. It was just a very monotone. So I do recommend, if you have not read this book yet, to definitely read it. It may come off a little better for you, but yeah, I still liked the story, and it still kind of kept me guessing until the end. Everything else for me was a 5-star. I really enjoyed everything that I picked for this readathon. So I'm going to start off with the smallest little book. The Couple Next Door was for the challenge. Shoot, I done forgot what the challenge for this was. Oh, the oldest thriller you have on your bookshelf. And this was it for me. And this was for the challenge of the shortest story you have on your bookshelf, or I guess the shortest thriller you have on your bookshelf. And for me, this was The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. This was just under, like, right at 60 something pages, 62 pages to be exact. It was so much fun in just 62 pages. Like, I couldn't get over how much I enjoyed this little bitty story. Like, it had so much intensity in such little amount of pages. It was just so good. Everything was just described like perfectly and to the point. It was just really a complete joy for me to read. I did actually read this book. It didn't take me long. Like, I didn't read it in one sitting because I started it one evening and I was really tired, but I finished it the next day. So the story is told by a young woman. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. I was flipping through here to see if her name was mentioned, but I can't find it anywhere, and I don't remember if, like, she's the one telling the story. So it always, you know, it's always saying, well, I responded with, or I said, or so and nobody, I don't see where anybody mentions her name. I'm sure they probably did somewhere in here, but I can't remember. But anyway, she is a how do I want to describe this young woman? It was very shocking in the beginning. Like, right away, you're like, whoa, okay. She comes across in the book, or she puts herself out there as a someone who's clairvoyant, I guess. She reads tarot cards. She's a spiritual palm reader. Whatever basically you need her to be, she's going to be. But is it a cover? You'll have to read to find out. So, our character, our main character, whose name I do not know, is a very interesting character for one. And she has very interesting clients as well. One day she meets a new client named Susan. So Susan comes to our young clairvoyant character for help. She feels there's something in her home, like maybe her home is haunted, and the fact that her son or her stepson is acting kind of weird is not helping the whole situation. Could he be possessed? What's wrong with him? Our main character goes to Susan's home to see what's going on, and she comes in contact with the son, who is very weird. And is the house haunted? You know, she witnesses a few things happening, but is it the house? Is it the son? What's going on? Also, is Susan who she really claims to be? And we find out some other stuff about Susan's husband. But it's all so, like, well done in such a short amount of time. I just couldn't get over how good this little story was. And the ending just kind of like, I wanted more to this. I really did, because it just kind of ends. Yeah, you don't really get like everything wrapped up in a bow. It's just like this story, this very, very short story. And I mean, you get some information about the house and the son. You know, you kind of figure it out, but then do you? Because when it comes to an end, it kind of left me with a question mark. And to me, that's just phenomenal writing. I mean, what can you expect from Gillian Flynn? Nothing but phenomenal writing. I loved it. If you haven't read it yet, read it. Another 5-star read for this readathon is Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I love this book. In the beginning of it, I didn't see what the whole hype was about. So, you know, it starts with, I mean, you already know that the wife shot her husband 5 times in the face. You get that from the synopsis. So, of course, after the incident happens, she falls silent. And she is put into, like, a psychiatric home. And from there, of course, we meet him in the beginning as well. We meet the doctor, Dr. Theo, I believe his name is. He actually, applies for a position at the home where Alicia is staying, because he's really intrigued with her story and he wants to see if he can make her talk again. So he is hell-bent on getting this job. He ends up getting the job, and someone else is treating Alicia, but he asks if he can maybe, take a crack at it. So, and we get a lot of his story, we get a lot of his background, and we get a lot, it's mostly, in the beginning, it's mostly just about him. And I kept wondering, like, why are we reading about the doctor here? So I'll just kind of leave that like that. And then we get Alicia's story through her journal, because she starts writing a journal before the incident happens. So you get to know her and her husband through her journal entries. Finally, towards the end, you get like the final story. She doesn't write the final story until like way after the incident happened. So it all kind of leads up to that, to her story. But there was such a crazy twist. Like, I didn't really know what to expect, because we know that she shot her husband, and this doctor's trying to get her to talk. So I couldn't figure out what is so great about this story until you get to that point. And I had to like actually just like go back, because I did listen to this book on audio, which was phenomenal. You get two narrators, of course, one for Felicia and then one for Dr. Theo. And it was great. I highly recommend the audio, but I had to like kind of go back and rewind, just because I was like, wait, what just happened? What? There was like one little line where it just like gets you, and I had to rewind and go back and have that line read to me, read to me one more time, because I had to get a hold of what was going on. And that's what made it a 5-star for me. That whole ending right there just kind of like blew my mind. I loved it. It's hyped up for a reason. I also I listened to Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Awesome narration by Imogen Church. She seems to be the narrator for Ruth Ware, which she's an awesome narrator. I love her voices. She's very, you can tell who's who with her narration. She just does a phenomenal job, and she just makes the story come alive. And I loved this book. Also another hyped up book that well deserves the hype. So we have Rowan, who is a nanny, and she gets the position of the live-in nanny at Heatherbrae House for just a well-developed couple who have like their own business and just need someone there to take care of their children, because they always have to go off for business or whatever. And their home is an older home, so it has a past. Now they have like reconstructed the whole home and made it like a smart house. So it's ran by what's called the Happy app, and you do everything through this Happy app. It's like on your phone, or I think they have like an iPad in the house, or like different places in the house where you can control the house. So that right there, to me, I mean, I know like a lot of people, I know like my brother has somewhat of a smart home. And I know that's like, maybe the thing these days. My home is not smart, because that just kind of blows my mind. I'd rather just put a key at the door and, but anyway, to me, it was like just very creepy. And because someone like a robotic person is always talking to you over the intercom, and, you don't know what's happening. At first, in the beginning, it kind of freaked Rowan out. The story is told through Rowan's letters to her lawyer. So she's giving him pretty much a play-by-play from the moment she went in for the interview till the moment the incident happened. So she was accused of the murder of one of the children in the home, and she takes it upon herself to find a good lawyer. So she is trying to convince him, or she's telling him, as she says in her words, you need to know the truth. You need to know the whole story. So she tells him a blow by blow of everything through these letters, which I really enjoyed that kind of concept. I read actually another book this month that has to do with that was told through letters that I really enjoyed too, but that'll be in another video. But anyway, I really loved her story. It was creepy and thrilling, and they had just so many different little details that came about towards the end of her story that just all came together to make sense. But yet, in the end, well, I don't want to say too much. I mean, the end was just fun. The ending was just like shocking. It truly was, because I didn't know at all where this was going. There were a couple characters in the book that I thought maybe could have killed this young girl, but there was not enough like evidence in her story for that to happen. And she had suspicions herself, so it was just all up in the air until the very end when everything started coming together. And then when I realized what happened in the end, I was just like I don't know. I can't say what I really thought, because that'll kind of give it away a little bit, but such a good thriller, such a good book. I loved it. There's also in Turn of the Key, Rowan has sort of a little twist of herself. So many little twists and turns, just so much goodness in that book. Just so good. The next book I read was, I listened to it, sorry. I got it off of Hoopla from my library. It was Sweet Pea by C.J. Scoose. Now this was a totally different thriller format that I've ever read. I've never read from the point of view of the actual killer. So that was very interesting. So I don't have it with me, so I'll put a picture up here of it. It's a beautiful book. So we have our serial killer, Rhiannon, who is such a good character. She's just very, I don't know, even though she's our killer, she's almost like a female Dexter in a way, although she doesn't mean to be. Because she has a kill list. At the beginning of like every chapter in this book, there was a kill list of people that she just wanted to kill, just for the fact of that they just annoyed her, either that day or the day before, or whatever was happening in her life. From the guy that handles her groceries at the grocery store, to a woman, or maybe it was a man that pulls out in front of her. Like, they are on her kill list. And she is not afraid to go after them, but the story kind of ends up to be more of like Dexter type stories, because she kind of starts to hear of like, she catches wind of like there's a rapists and things like that. So she actually goes out on her own to find these men and pull them from wherever they're going to come from. She kind of puts herself in that situation for them to come attack her so she can kill them. It was just such a joy and that sounds so crazy, being that, she was killing these people, but it was just like so much fun. Maybe I should say that, to read it from such a different point of view, from the killer's point of view. But she has like a normal life. She has a job. I think she's like a journalist. Or something like that. She's trying to write a book and she's trying to put it out there, but nobody's like publishing her book. So of course she wants to kill them. And she's living with her boyfriend that is cheating on her. It was just so fun. It was different and fun, and I enjoyed every minute of it. She is such a fun character. Not all her kills were Dexter style. But the ending definitely kind of leaves room for another book. In fact, I do think there's another book. I think it's called Bloom. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'll link it down below, but I definitely want to put that on my TBR because I want to see what happens to her, because the ending just sort of like cuts off when she's sort of in a bad situation. So I want to definitely find out what happens to her and how she gets out of it and how she goes about with more of her killings. Like, who is she gonna kill next? It was so much fun. I gave it a 5-star. And yeah, that's all I read for the Thriller-a-thon. So that was a total of 5 books if you include Sweet Pea. But like I said, I did listen to all of them except for the Grown Up. I did read that, and like I started it one evening, fell asleep, picked it up the next morning, and finished reading it while I drank my coffee. Such a good time with this Thriller-a-thon. I can't wait for the next one. So let me know in the comments if you participated in the Thriller-a-thon. What did you read? Any recommendations for me? I mean, I love thrillers, so I'm open to anything you want to recommend to me. If you read any of these books, how did you like them? Did you like them as much as I do? I do try to keep up everything on my Goodreads, so check me out on Goodreads. I'll have the link down below. I keep up with everything that I'm reading, and I review everything that I have read. Also, my Instagram will be down below. It's my personal Instagram, but I do post more book stuff than anything, but you'll see a lot of other like personal stuff on there as well. But yeah, so that is it, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. Happy reading to everyone, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.